problem we have in Kenya. So focus on governance, focus on leadership, focus on the rule of law. But KOT, I want to tell you, we have a problem because we have to get into power to effect these things. You see, that's where the conundrum lies. Because the people who are already in power now, they have no incentive to demobilize ethnic politics because it serves the interests. When young people get onto the streets, you just appoint some people from there, and then you steal thunder from the movement. You see? So what do? We have to get into power. That's the conundrum, and replace these people and put in place the politics that we want to serve every other Kenyan, the way Nyerere did in Tanzania. The way Nyerere did. That in Tanzania, if you ask somebody, Kabila lako ni gani, people think, but this barbaric person, where did they come from? Where did this, huyu mtu mshenzi alitoka wapi? We're so obsessed with people's tribes and stuff like that. Why? That's Mwalimu's legacy. He built one Tanzanian kind of identity. Undugu, ujamaa, utanzania. That's what he built there. And that's what you can see the results, KOT. Whereas sisi tuko na diesel-powered locomotives, which cost so much money, diesel. And I'm told, I don't know, some of them are grounded, they can't work. That thing you are using from Nairobi to Mombasa today with civic education, in Tanzania, they've got electrified trains. Can you imagine? They have electrified trains. We spend so much money and our things are so pre-modern, completely pre-modern. But we celebrate, you know, they've done some good job. In Tanzania, in the airport, they're citizens. You just scan your passport and get into the country. In Kenya, they profile you the way they profile a suspect. You know, they take your fingerprints, you know, they take your image, you know, like a mugshot. The way you profile a suspect, they have got BRT, bus rapid transport. We don't have something like that. When they try to do it in Kenya, they realize, no, the design of our roads have no provision for that, an extra lane for buses only. And somebody went as far as just using whitewash to draw some lines along the road. It's also ridiculous. Why? Because when you have a cohesive society, that is the dynamo, the engine for progress and prosperity. It doesn't matter the language they speak. Over there, they speak Swahili, but they're doing great things. This other side, we speak English, but we're receding into Stone Age every day. Why? Because of the politics that we have inherited. We inherited from Muzungu, we have inherited from Jomo Kenyatta and the people who came after him successively. And that is a problem. The media spread ethnicity in Kenya. State institutions spread ethnicity in Kenya. The schooling system, KOT, they spread ethnicity in Kenya. The church, they spread ethnicity in Kenya. Can you imagine the work that we have on our hands? We have to demobilize all those institutions, even civil society. And that's why in Kenya it's normal just to laugh at people because of the way they speak. Can you imagine? In no other country do you find such things being turned into comedy. You on radio, or to mimic a Maasai, the way a Maasai speaks. On radio, somebody is mimicking how a Luo speaks, how a Luya speaks, how a Nigerian speaks. You find those things in Kenya, like people laugh. What is it? And those are stereotypes. There's no comedy there. Instead of satirizing these people in power, we are satirizing people for being what they are. If you're born a Turukana, honestly speaking, Turukana is your first language. And when you learn another language, French or English, Turukana will always, manifest itself because that's who you are, that's your identity. When you're born a Luya, Luya is your first language. When you speak Swahili or English, it will manifest itself. The same with the Luo, the same with the Kamba. But in Kenya, we laugh at people. We laugh at people. Why? Why? We, stigmatize them. We lampoon them because of who they are. What do we want them to be, KOT? What do we want these people to be? You are born in Loitoktok, in Homa Bay, in Busia, in Turukana, why would somebody expect you to speak like somebody who was born in London or the US, Colorado? Why? Is it even necessary? It's not. But we find it weird and funny that people speak like that. Why? Because our politicians like it like that. When we poke fun on one another, we know even the media, they do it all the time. They're reporting the headlines. They poke fun on ethnic stereotypes in Kenya. They do that. They do it. And some of us laugh. Churchill has got a show, I don't know where they're still running, where people just make fun of people's ethnic identities. And we find that funny. It's not funny. That's under development. It's what keeps us low. And as Tanzanians move forward, we have less ethnic groups compared to Tanzanians. But we've never had a Kenyan politician going to Tanzania to solve their political problems, have you? But they come to Kenya every now and then. Kikwete was there the other day when Raila Odinga was launching his AU commission campaign bid. He was there. Kikwete has come to Kenya several times to solve political differences. Benjamin Mkapa did it. He was there in 2007. He was there. We have never gone to Tanzania to solve their problems. And Mwalimu wonders, KOT as I learned, Mwalimu wonders, and he said, if you wanted to see what London looks like, just go to Nairobi. And Kenyan thought he was praising us because, according to him, we were a man-eat-man society. And Kenyans at that time under Jomo Kenyatta dismissed Mwalimu Nyerere and said, well, yours is a man-eat-nothing society. Well, if Mwalimu was to wake up today or in his grave, he say, I warned Kenyans that the trajectory they were taking was taking them into a ditch, into an abyss. It's come to pass. We're very divided, and he warned us. This love for money, love for things Muzungu, love for Western things, the propensity to look down upon people. I mean, Mwalimu saw those things that they would take us nowhere. Elitism, tribalism, misogyny, name it. Religious fanaticism, those things, we do have them. KOT, I learned. Thank you for the opportunity. Keep going.
KOT, let me answer briefly, if possible. Is that okay? Thank you. Yeah, so Western, thank you very much for your input. The interesting thing is there's a maxim that goes, it's a medical maxim, that a proper diagnosis is half the cure. So I think you've both seen that the critical need is about unity in a country, because you're mentioning Tanzania as a good example. They're ujamaa, which means it's about uzalendo, and therefore they don't have ukabila. Initially, you are coming from the angle that it's about governance. Tanzania was first about patriotism, not having that ukabila serving as a stumbling block to everything they wanted to do as a country. And even your conundrum of how do we get into leadership is because from the days of the late Jomo and Jaramogi, the divide and conquer system, which was based on ethnic conclaves, the British kept us apart to divide and rule. That was a British system. Unfortunately, instead of it dying with what we call our founding fathers, it was perpetuated. So that if you looked at Jomo Kenyatta's government, it was full of people from Central. It was about doing favors for your own people. So tribalism has an element of selfishness. It's the top kingpin. Of course, he helps his cronies, but it comes out as also he's helping the whole community, because the cronies now do favors to their relatives. It becomes nepotism. You end up with bad governance, because now you have people in positions of public service that are not there out of merit, so they do not need to offer any quality service to anybody. They are related to the top, or they're related to the tribe of the top. So that has been the problem. When Moi came in, after the failed coup, he became extremely aggressive. He realized the military must have a lot of my people. Police were packed with people. That's why even you find a lot of police would pass out and they have an accent from a particular region, and they are from different areas. So tribalism got too much into the system, in the sense that the people being hired, how positions are being given, who's in charge of central bank, even if people are not properly qualified. Because the moment you practice, even if you had your own business, you said, I'm only employing my family members, whether they are qualified or not, your business will not run well. That governance you're talking of will not operate well. So ukabila played that role, because now what would happen also, when somebody does something bad, and we've seen it recently in history, they hide behind, when they are caught in ufisadi, which is corruption, they quickly run behind ukabila. They say, our people, we are being attacked. Look at Kinamunya when they were caught with, then it was Grand Regency. Anything that happens in Kenya, the moment you try and resolve it, and these politicians push the people's tribal buttons. That's why I'm telling you, I was not saying Ati ukabila has no effect in any other place. I'm saying when it comes to politics, it becomes the forefront of a Kenyan's mind. These other things we experience, not getting jobs because of where you come from, it's because of that concept of, once a particular tribe gets to the top, it only feeds its people, its coalition people, of course, because no tribe usually can win alone. Mnasaidiana sasa kama hii coalition ilikuwa na watu wagani. So if you want governance in Kenya, unfortunately, because governance is the people who have been elected, if Kenyans are going, every time they go to the poll, the only thing they think of is, who is our man? You see how can you see how those two are tripping each other up? You can't want governance before, it's like the chicken and the egg. They try to say which one came first. Tribalism messes up the way we elect people, so we end up with bad governance because we began with tribalism. And let's say when you come to a cosmopolitan area, after you've decided which guys you want to put because they have our name, Kenyans then ask for bribe. They want unanipea nini? You can't go do a campaign on the ground in Kenya and people don't ask you unatuachia nini. If you don't seem to have anything you'll give people, they won't listen to you. So that problem also comes to the people. First, we will look for our man. Then among our men, let's say we're in Western or Nyanza, where all the competitors will be the same tribe. It will be a question of who pours out the most money. And if that's the case, that means after he spent 1.5 billion or something to become governor, and he's earning 1 million from governor, that's his paycheck. His first job is to recoup his money and get profit to prepare for the next election. So this thing, and even in homogeneous areas, let's say Nyanza, you'll hear again, huyu ni mtu wa north, area north, huyu ni mtu wa south. This kind of chauvinism and division is the problem with Kenya. I'm not saying there's a doom solution. Maybe I think you misunderstood me. And I did not say there's no effect. There is the effect. Kenya had gotten so badly that the reason they introduced index numbers in exams were people marking exams. If your surname was the wrong surname, they would give you a fail. They would fail you in KCSE or KCPE or whatever we are doing at the time because of the surname you have. So they said, let's be using index numbers so somebody there know what they are marking, whose paper they are marking. So the idea is to say this: there's no quick fix. We never say there's any quick fix. We know that the way for a country to move forward, and even those American countries we are saying, there's a lot of racism, there's a lot of hatred, even in the presence of development. Same thing in Europe, you've been seeing. So the idea is there's a way, yes, you need nationalistic people for countries to go forward. Division makes things worse. Division makes things complicated. In Kenya, ufisadi na ukabila play very well together because one uses ufisadi hides behind ukabila. It hides behind it. You are told you touch our man na nyinyi huku hii area yetu mnatoka. That's how our politics work, and that's why also you've seen people mad that when they play games up there, they are fighting for power. Because nobody wants to win fairly. The people on the ground fight, and then in the middle of fighting, you hear those two top enemies have gone to a hotel, they've taken tea, wameshake hands, wanaambia sasa tuko kitu kimoja, but you've killed each other on the ground. So the element is to say, yes, there's no quick fix for Kenya, but we that nationalism, that patriotism. If you look at America, what made America great? People used to think of country first. We know the JFK quote: ask not what your country will do for you, but what you can do for your country. That was bringing that element of, in America, they have personal responsibility as citizens to make their country better. That's why when you hear organizing for America, it's regular Americans. Even you can see it now for Akina Kamala Harris. Regular Americans. Even you can see it now for Akina Kamala Harris. Si ati watu wanangojea waletewe matisha na makofia na wapatiwe 500. It is the people removing from their money and taking of their time to go and knock on doors and campaign for Kamala Harris and Waltz. That is how people participate in their governance. And remember, we copied quite an amount from the American Constitution. So that is a challenge for Kenya. That we need to become patriotic. Nobody has said it's a spray. That's not how it works. It is a reasoning. It's an understanding. We say, tumejaribu kabila of 61 years. It's been tried, but it has not drawn. If anything, as you've said, it's blocking people from jobs. There's a space I was in, I don't know if KOT was there also. Kuna mtu alisema even he was afraid to give his children their full ethnic names. So anawapatia jina mbili za kizungu. John Smith or John something, ama Ann Williamson, ndio akienda skuli ataenda kutafuta kazi, asibaguliwe based on their surname. That's very sad for Kenya. And TZ has, at least socially, they have been ahead of us. Remember, our economy has still been strong. Okay, it's been stronger, whatever. And imagine it's stronger while we are being robbed the way we found out we are being robbed. Bila Morara may expose hizi mambo. So where would we be if we were not being robbed? Blind, because they keep us busy. Musema saa zingine hii siasa ya Kenya, it's like WWF, is my wrestling we used to like watching. Hulk Hogan, whatever. I used to watch those old ones. These wrestlers are not enemies, but while they keep you entertained, pretending they hate each other, you guys are paying them money. That's how they're making their money. You guys are focused on the entertainment, on the fake fights. One day they are enemies, next after 3 months they're in the same tag team. So if you really believed that this were real enemies, you'd be very confused as their fan, so to speak. Yeah. So that's how our politics in Kenya has been played, and now made even more extreme because of tribe. You know, somebody's tribe is like their mother. And tukisema ukabila, we don't mean there's anything wrong with kabila yako. Be proud to be where you are born. That was God's choice for your life. In America, we see the strength of the United States. I said this, I think, in the other space, that their diversity is their strength. Diversity is actually meant to be a strength. And what they do in America, even if they don't like each other, they because there's racism still, you cannot deny that. There's a lot of bad. Look at how many George Floyd, how many we've lost count of the racism in America. Look at how they've been insulting Kamala. So the idea is, but they have learned we are going to respect each other's humanity, even if I don't like whatever, I can respect your right to be American. And that's why in America, you see, even when Trump was losing the election, when he called his own Republican governors to tell them, change these results, they refused. They were loyal to the Constitution of America. Their patriotism saved America. In Kenya, the MPs can be inside, all Kenyans are outside telling them, don't pass that finance bill. And what do? They listen to the president and they pass it. That is not patriotism. That is not patriotism. So ukabila inatupatia watu wabaya, wanaenda, because on top of that, after ukabila, we ask for money. We need to take some of the blame as Kenyans. Hii kitu ya kungoja elections ndio tukulie pesa, that is our fault. They pay us first, they feed us first, then they go inside there to feed themselves. Because if you go and tell him, nifanyie kazi, atakwambia, si niliwalipa. I paid you to be here, excuse me. I spent 10 billion or 2 billion. If you saw in the papers, if you go to the history online, these parties spend over 10 billion on goodies and t-shirts and campaign managers and all that kind of rubbish of their own money, usually, of course, stolen money that they give us. So they have to recoup it. So that's my point. The point is really just to say this. Nobody expects Kenya's fix. Let's not have a quick fix solution. Nobody is expecting that. And tribe is a beautiful thing in the sense that if we, and by the way, if you're talking about people making fun of tribe, America is the whole world over. It's called satire. You know that, Saturday Night Live, Russell Peters, everybody makes fun of everybody's accent, whatever. It should not be a sensitive matter. People can learn to laugh at themselves. Okay, I'm not saying it's an excellent thing, but I'm saying it's done world over. People, it's called satire. It's called comedy. Americans, Trevor Noah, you watch. So I'm not even telling you something you don't know. Making fun of each other is supposed to lighten the load. Okay, if you see in America, African Americans, they make fun of themselves. Why are people like Eddie Murphy funny and all that kind of? Most of their comedy is based on the difference of racial issues. Watch American comedy, you'll see that it's full of that making fun, because that's the way you make